Hey folks, and Nick here from another BookTube channel. Super excited today because I made a book. And I literally just finished this like 15 minutes ago and I'm still like riding high off of this sensation. I decided literally 1 week ago that I wanted to start binding my own comic books because I have a lot of comic books that are just sitting in my boxes that are never going to be reprinted, or their reprintings are just like out of print and scarce. Uh, and I wanted to bind them. I don't. I think it would be a cool thing to have on my shelf. Just a hand bound edition of my comic books. And so I went on YouTube and I found a couple channels. Huge shout out to DAS Bookbinding. His videos were so clear and informative. I watched like 15 of them that were like relevant to the project I wanted. And this was my first attempt, and I could not be more satisfied. Um, Also, shout out to Four Keys Book Arts or Four Key Book Arts. He's the one who initially I saw his video on binding his own copy of Dune, and that kind of sent me down this rabbit hole. But yeah, I just want to show you this thing and just show you how freaking proud I am of it. So what I basically did for my first attempt is I just pulled 12 issues of DC Comics Presents, the series from the 80s, which I enjoy, but it's not like a sentimental favorite. And all of these issues are reader copies. So if I destroyed them in this process, I wouldn't feel so bad about that. Um, and the way that it works, and look, if I was a better YouTuber, I would have vlogged this entire experience from beginning to end. But I'm not a better YouTuber. I actually did try to film the first step. I filmed it for like 20 minutes, and then I watched the footage back, and it was unusable. Like just the angle was all wrong. So yeah, so maybe if I do this again, I mean, I will do this again. I have many more books I want to bind. Maybe I'll try to vlog it and show you the actual step by step. But basically, you take the staples out of all your out of the comics you want to do and that you want to bind. You poke new holes in them. You can't use the staples because a lot of these comics there is no like regulation in terms of staple placement. So you have to make your own new holes using a special guide and an awl, and then you literally sew those comics together. And if I get to let me get to a center. Let me see if I could find a central page. So yeah, you can see the thread that's going through the entire book. So you would just sew down the center of each comic, and there's a whole lot of glue involved. There's using book board and book cloth. Book cloth is like this special material here. It's got a side that you can put adhesive on in the back, and then a nice smooth finish, like a satin finish on the front. A lot of cutting, a lot of measuring, and in the end, this is what I ended up with. Really sleek looking. Because this was the first attempt, I didn't try to go for anything like graphic. In the future, for new projects, I have some ideas on how to do maybe like a half binding and then using decorative paper that I customize for like an actual cover. I have no idea how to do spine. I don't know if I want to get into dust jackets eventually, but I'm not interested in leather working or anything like that. And I decided to go with a square binding. I think it's what's it called? Brandle binding. I don't know. And I'm really satisfied with the look of it, and it holds together really well. I mean, it lays flat, and I'm really happy that the gutter loss is very negligible. Like, look at this. I was really concerned that this would be like really pinched, and it's not. There's very little gutter loss. You could kind of see a little bit of loss in like the cover, but who cares? That's not where like the text is. But everything else, it looks so good. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Somebody who's more experienced and who is more attentive to detail, or maybe intends to sell these, they would have trimmed the edges of the comics. I did not, because to do this kind of consistently and make sure you have, I keep auto-focusing here. So make sure that everything's consistent. You use a paper guillotine I don't have a paper guillotine. I'm not going to buy a paper guillotine. I'm not going to take everything to the FedEx store and use their paper guillotine. I don't care. Like, I'm not a huge fan of deckled edges, but whatever. This is just something for me, and it's something that I don't mind. What else? Few other things I didn't really mess up, but things I would do differently. When I put in my end pages, I used a little bit too much glue, so this got a little bit too stuck to over here. I probably could have done less glue. And the actual end paper itself, when I laid it down, you could see that the edge here is not aligned perfectly. It's wider. There's more black down here than there is up here. Yeah, now I get it in frame. That'll help. There's more black down here than there is up here. Again, I do not care. This is just for me. And this was a first attempt. And it's awesome for a first attempt. These lumps here are because there is cotton like cord that you use on the spine when you're in the sewing process. I didn't make it thin enough. I didn't. It got kind of bunched up when I pasted this down. So that's a lesson learned. I don't care too much about the alignment here. Again, never intending to sell this. This is just for me. But look at it. Oh, nice. I got like the crisp little cut in there. Oh, I'm moving the camera. Everything's shaking. I'm so excited. I was just super hype about this. I'm so stoked. I've got my next projects in mind. My eventual goal is to bind my run of Rick Veitch's Swamp Thing. But I want to get really, really good at this before I attempt that. So I'm going to do a few more using series that I don't really care so much about. But yeah, this is it. This was my first hardcover bookbinding, and I couldn't be more satisfied. And I'm telling you, if you are interested in this, check out DAS Bookbinding for his videos. Check out his videos on case-bound bookmaking, and then the square-bound Bradle or Brundle book binding. You can I combined techniques from both of those series to come up with this. And look, I'm not a genius. I'm not even like a craftsman. Like, I don't work with my hands a ton. This came out great. Look at the spine. Look at it, just like it's so tight to the actual the text. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope you're excited too. Let me know if you've ever done a project like this, if you've ever bound a book, and if you are a bookbinder, let me know if you have any recommendations on how to improve on this, other than the stuff that I pointed out already. Again, not looking for perfection, looking for something functional that looks mostly very nice on the outside, and just holds together neatly on the inside. So thank you very much for spending some time with me today, but now it's time to get back to bookbinding.